Last week, NASA Ground Control sent commands to the International Space Station to release a 2.9-ton cargo pallet filled with old nickel hydrogen batteries, shooting it out into space. It is the biggest bit of space garbage the ISS has ever spat out, and it's expected to remain in orbit around the planet for 2 to 4 years. The actual pallet was left behind by the Japanese, who used it to deliver and install some new batteries to the ISS last year. The whole battery mission took several trips to complete over the course of 3 years, with astronauts conducting a series of spacewalks for installation, and the station's robotic arm was also employed. Most of the spacecraft necessary for the mission left the station and plunged back into the atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean, where it either burned up upon re-entry or fell into a remote part of the sea. But it didn't all go to plan, with a Soyuz launch failure in 2018 disrupting the sequence. And then Japan ended up retiring the cargo freighters they had been using, which meant there would be no more going up to the station to retrieve the final pallet. So, ground teams at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston commanded the ISS to release the final pallet into space, where it will now orbit the Earth. Over the course of 2 to 4 years, atmospheric drag will gradually lower its orbit. NASA said in a statement that they expect it to burn up harmlessly in the atmosphere, but they also admit they have no statistics on how many of the pieces of the pallet or the batteries will survive upon the unguided re-entry. So it's possible that some of it could actually survive and rain down someplace upon the planet with no way to guide where it goes. Chances are that won't happen, and it's not like this cargo of dead batteries is the only piece of junk orbiting the planet. In fact, it's far from it. NASA estimates that there are about 500,000 pieces of space junk between 1 and 10 centimeters just hanging out around the planet, and the European Space Agency thinks that figure is closer to 900,000. And then there's also bigger objects out there too, like broken satellites and pieces of rockets and whatnot. So this giant pallet of dead batteries won't be alone. Still, it is remarkable in that it's the biggest piece of garbage intentionally spat out of the space station as actual real trash. But it should come as no surprise, really, because if there's one thing we humans are good at, it's making some trash down on the planet. So why wouldn't we do it in space as well?